Managing global OneTimeSetUp and OneTimeTearDown across multiple NUnit test projects. The challenge: global setup/teardown across multiple NUnit projects. When working on integration tests distributed across multiple NUnit test projects, you might want a single global setup or teardown method executed once before or after all tests. For example, clearing the database before the entire test suite runs is common. However, NUnit's SetUpFixture is limited to namespaces within a single assembly project, so it doesn't support cross-project lifecycle hooks. Why not use OneTimeTearDown for all projects? NUnit scope is per assembly, and NUnit treats assemblies as isolated units for lifecycle management. Shared setup across projects not supported natively. There's no out-of-the-box global hook spanning multiple test projects. Parallel test execution complicates shared resource management. Running tests in parallel across projects can cause race conditions when manipulating shared resources like databases. Possible approaches. 1. Coordinated setup with shared code and synchronization. You can create shared helper code called by each assembly's SetUpFixture to perform a database reset exactly once. However, this requires reliable cross-process synchronization, difficult and error-prone, especially with parallel test runs. 2. Refactor tests to use separate test data or databases per test assembly. A cleaner and more manageable approach is to isolate test data per assembly. Each test assembly manages its own database or schema. Each assembly implements its own SetUpFixture to initialize its dedicated test environment. Benefits. Removes the need for complex global synchronization. Allows parallel test execution without conflicts. Keeps tests isolated and more maintainable. Summary recommendations. Avoid fighting NUnit's assembly level lifecycle. It expects setup/teardown at the assembly level. Isolate test data per assembly to enable independent initialization. Centralize common cleanup logic in shared helpers, passing assembly-specific parameters. Use SetUpFixture in each test assembly, not a global hook across projects. This strategy balances integration test hygiene with parallel execution speed and avoids brittle synchronization logic. By structuring tests and test data per assembly combined with shared cleanup utilities, you achieve efficient, parallel, and reliable integration testing across multiple NUnit projects.